Ghost Recon Wildlands. Gee, what a big, huge disappointment. Why was it such a big, huge disappointment? And I know some people are going to be like, you can't reveal beta, Michael, and pass it off as if it were the final product. Look, if you think the final product is going to be a drastically different experience from the actual beta, like, you got another thing coming. The beta is pretty much the final product, and it's not an old build. There's rumors. Gamers love to do that. They love to say, oh, yeah, well, the beta, it's just an old build. We don't have any sources to back that up. And it's like, no, that's not you. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to believe. So you're just saying that you're in denial. That's what that is. It's not an old build. Do you really think Ubisoft would have put out an old build for streamers and everyone alike to plaster this all over the internet? No. Think about that logically. Maybe it's an old build in the sense that it's like a month old or something like that, but it's not going to be a drastically different game, from the beta to the final product. That I can tell you. And it's ultimately a disappointing game, especially if you're playing it solo. I've been playing this beta here solo, and it just it leaves a lot left to be desired. And I think it's due to the fact that this game brings nothing new to the table, and that's the problem that I have with Horizon Zero Dawn. These games, these open world games especially, it's like, when are we going to evolve the genre? Are we ever? I mean, seriously, you look at this and it's cookie cutter. It's like all of the Ubisoft games that you played before that you probably didn't want to play again, and it's all like crammed together here in this game. You get a little bit of The Division, you get a little bit of Far Cry, you got a little bit of little Just Cause sprinkled in there as well, and it's like, that sounds cool on paper, but the execution here leaves a lot left to be desired. I mean, the driving here in this game kind of sucks. The gunplay is not all that satisfying. There's hardly any of a cover system. What else is going on here in this game? There's bugs. There's just hardly any little details that kind of help sell I mean, the world is so boring and barren and lifeless. And, they said that the NPCs have actual lives, but that's they can say that if they want, and they can still say that that's the case, but I played the beta, and I'll tell you something here right now. That is not what's going on here. So they blatantly lied about that, which is not a big surprise because it's Ubisoft. The game just, it's not great. It's not terrible, but, I'm sure there's fun to be had, especially if you're playing with other people. But, as a solo experience, like I said, it just leaves a lot left to be desired, It feels more like an action shooter as opposed to a tactical shooter, and this is supposed to be a Ghost Recon game. Like, I remember, I think the last Ghost Recon game I played was like Ghost Recon on the 360, Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, I think that was what it was called. And when that came out, it was unbelievably amazing, and I think, from what I can remember, that had like a proper cover system. Here in this game, there's no cover system. I mean, it's really half-assed. There is one, but it's really half-assed. It's not great, and if you're doing a lot of shooting and you're doing the same thing over and over and over, which is what you do here in this game, Ghost Recon Wildlands, is do nothing but clear outposts. You want a good cover system in there, and you want the gun mechanics and, the gunplay to feel great, but it doesn't feel great, and I think the big problem here with this game is not only does it not bring anything new to the table, but I think they're focusing on too many things at once. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, presumably. And it's all just kind of falling apart, There's so many areas to focus on because they got this big, huge open world, lifeless, boring, generic, bland. Then they got the driving stuff, the flying stuff, the shooting mechanics, customization, the whole nine yards. The whole nine yards. And ultimately, at least in my perspective, it just leaves a lot left to be desired. And I think it's due to the fact that Ubisoft kind of, they hyped this up to the moon and back, and now gamers are like, well, it's not as good as it was, as it initially looked back at E3 2015. But hey, that shouldn't be a surprise. You should know how Ubisoft rolls with their business. They like to show stuff off that's really disingenuous. Then when the product comes out, it's a night and day difference. You know what I mean? So Ghost Recon Wildlands, the only way that I can recommend it is if you find it complete for $20. And when I mean complete, I mean when you wait a year and you wait until the Game of the Year edition drops. Because right now the game's not finished. Clearly it's not. There's bugs, there's glitches, there's details that are missing. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and I'm tired of this as well. I'm tired of these games like coming out and not, being work in progress titles as opposed to fully, fleshed out games. Like The Division, for example, that game came out last year and it just now basically got complete. And it took them a year, and at this point, really, no one cares. No one cares anymore. Everyone has moved on. And that's what's going to happen here with Ghost Recon Wildlands. They're going to complete this game next year, and it'll be a hell of a lot better than it is right now. But no one's really going to care at that point, No one's really going to care. So those are my thoughts, at least on the beta. But again, the beta is pretty much the final product on Ghost Recon's Wildlands. Hope you enjoyed.